Hey guys, today I'm going to talk you through how to create a melodic or pad kind of sound. So it'd be good for a melody or chords or pads in your track. Now I've used my same phrase, and this time I was looking for a vowel, so I went for the word music, the U of music. Music like Led Zeppelin. So I heard a long vowel in there and I thought that would make a pretty good sound. Now that's a good start, but of course the notes are very short because the part I've selected is very short. So one way I can get around that is by switching on loop mode. And let me just turn fade off there. So if I put loop to 100%, you can see that the loop region stretches to most of my selected region. Not all. To fix that, turn off snap. But snap is a good thing because snap helps alleviate some of the clicking that you might get when you loop it. So right now this is what I've got. And of course, because its warp mode is off, the clicks are further apart the lower I play. But up high, that's pretty annoying. So we're going to try and alleviate that a little by changing the loop settings. So if I bring the looping section, if I make it much smaller by changing, first of all, the loop control, then I get this, which is actually somewhat less annoying, and you can alleviate still some more of that clicking by using the fade control. The fade sets up a crossfade between the start and the end of the sample. So let's hear what that does. Here's with no fade and with fade. It's somewhat smoother now. Now to still continue to sculpt the sound, I'm going to go over to the filter here, and I'm going to reduce the frequency somewhat. So here's the sound, and have a listen as I reduce it. So it's more of a mellow sound now. But I'm going to open the resonance just a little bit, and you'll see why in a moment. I'm also going to add some drive to it. I'm using the SMP filter. I might turn it down first because I know it's going to get pretty loud. There we go, and there's a nice little edge to the sound now thanks to the overdrive. I'm also going to increase the velocity, which means the harder I hit the keys, the more the filter will open now. So if I play softly, if I play harder, and you can hear the harder I hit, the filter opens more. Here's another neat trick. The spread control adds a kind of chorusing effect built into the simpler. If I put that up, it gives the notes kind of a shimmer, kind of like a reverb without being reverb. Now I'm going to try a few little tricks here. First of all, there's the amplifier envelope. Now this is really neat. We talked briefly last time about the ADSR envelope, where A stands for attack, D stands for decay, S is for sustain, and R is for release. And this is basically, these are times, except for sustain, about how the note sounds. So when attack is at 0, when you push the key, the note comes straight on. But if I make the attack a couple of seconds, notice, by the way, this is milliseconds or thousandths of a second. If you go up to seconds there, now you're going to hear the note fade in. Now I pushed harder the second time so you could hear the filter was more open, but the note faded in more. I might turn that velocity down just a little. Now that's the attack component. If I turn sustain down, then it's going to, after the sound rises, it's suddenly going to drop again. And how long it takes to drop is controlled by the sustain control. So I could make it drop instantly like this. Or I could make that less sudden and make a nice little curve out of it. That was still a bit sudden. But in this case, I want to have a relatively quick drop, but also I don't think I want to have the sustain be so quiet. So if I bring it up to there, we're going to hear something more like this. And this time, if I make the attack really short, like around 30 milliseconds, 40 milliseconds, you get almost like a stab at the start of the note, which could be really cool. I might make that decay just a little bit longer. Yeah, that's really cool. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the filter envelope. You actually get 3 envelopes on this simpler. You've got the amplitude envelope, which controls how loud the sound is. The filter envelope controls how this little ball operates. So once again, with the attack, if I set a slow attack, I can, like in the order of seconds, I can make the filter come on slowly. And you can see I've got it set to about 25 here. So here the filter's slowly opening there. So I get a little spike from the amplitude envelope and then a slow rise from the filter envelope, and then I can set the decay to be quite long as well, and that way the filter will fall more slowly. Which is kind of nice. I'm going to leave the sustain on 0, and when sustain is on 0, release doesn't really do anything. And you can watch a video about the ADSRs to hear more about that. Now I'm going to add one more little spike to it using the pitch envelope. Pitch, once again, same kind of idea, but this time it's the note itself. So I'm going to set it just to 2 semitones, and this time, using the attack here, I'm going to add a little spike where when I play the note, it's going to rise by 2 semitones before quickly falling. So I'll set the rising time to be 72 milliseconds or 60 milliseconds. The decay I'm going to make pretty short, so it's just going to be a quick little spike. Have a listen to this. If you're not sure what I mean, I'll make the attack longer so you can hear the rise. Here it go up there. Now when I've got the attack set really short, like 60 milliseconds, it's doing that really quickly. So it gives each time I play a note sort of a little wobble to it. So once again, I've used the amplitude envelope to give it a little stab at the start. I've used the frequency envelope to make the sound slowly rise and then slowly fall in the filter. And I've used the pitch envelope to give it a nice little stab at the start as well. And that's kind of a cool sound. I think to add to it, I'm going to add some reverb. So I'll go into audio effects, get myself a reverb. And here's a neat little trick, especially with these stabs on there. You've got this thing in Reverb called pre-delay, which essentially sets how long it takes for the reverb to kick in. So if you set that something above 100 milliseconds, you can really hear it. I'll make the tails quite long, so you'll hear there's a delay between when I play the notes and the actual reverb, which is kind of a cool sound. So if I might bring the decay time down to there, and this is the sound I've got now. So also if you make the notes quite long, you can add one more effect. Remember our friend the LFO? Well, the LFO can affect the volume, the pitch, the filter, or the panning. So if I put this up, I'll make it, it's out of 24, so if I set it up to about there, then now this is going to make the filter, this little guy, waver up and down. And I can control the speed of it here with the rate, so I can make it really fast. Really fast, really slow. I can change the shape of the LFO. Oops. And this is my favorite. The attack controls how long it takes for the LFO to kick in. So if you set it up to like, you know, a few hundred milliseconds, then you won't hear it on the first, on the early part of the note. But it's only when you hold the note down that you start to hear the LFO. If I make it a bit longer, that'll be more obvious. Or even longer, yeah, about that. So you can hear the LFO start to creep in on the filter. Which is kind of cool. So I'm going to put that to something a little bit shorter, and that way if I play a melody, I can have the LFO just come in after I've held the note for a little bit. And here's a melody that I've already written that would work nicely with this part. Portamento glides between the notes, that's pretty cool as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you can create something out of it.